And we're back. Hello everyone. Hello to our listeners. Anong pangalan ulit ng mga listeners pa? We have not greeted them in a
Yes,
while.
they are named Jemima, Jemima, and Janina. So welcome back to the Podsters. We are so happy to be talking to you today.
Tatlo pa lang sila until now. Ano na, di na
Yes,
nadagdagan.
baka may gustong dumagdag dyan na, I don't know.
We're recording this at the end of June, so it will be July by the time this comes out. The first half of the year is over. We hope it's been kind to you. If that's not the case, don't you guys worry. You have the other half of the year to, bounce back. And if that does not happen still, it will all be better. There's no way things won't, fall in the right place because that's just the rule of the universe.
Everything will eventually
But
work out. I believe in that. So whatever it is that was lost in the first half of the year, I firmly believe that everything will fall right back in track. So just keep trusting, keep believing, and keep being delusional.
damn right. And yeah, again, like I always say in every episode, I'm super excited for today's episode because we're going to talk about something that I feel like you and I, Pau, are both we're quite passionate about.
Yes.
To kick
Pakilala
things
muna
off, I
tayo.
want to... Ay, oo nga,
Ito
sorry.
na naman,
Tayo
nakalimutan na naman
Again,
natin. Okay. Okay, so welcome back to the pod. I am Pau.
and I am Duds.
At kami ang tambalang pods. Yes, o
Okay,
diba?
speaking of tambalan, eto na. Saktong-sakto, ipapasok ko yung question ko. And Pau, what moment or piece of Pinoy pop culture raised you?
I am
Kasi
so
madaming
glad
love teams
you
dyan.
asked. Yes, for me, there is only one superior love team, and the moment or piece of Pinoy pop culture that really was the defining moment for me, it happened in Baguio, in the quaint town of Baguio in 1998, when a young Julina Magdangal confronted Marvin Agustin na, oh yes, kaibigan mo ako, kaibigan mo lang ako. I memorized that by heart. For me, that defined what it's like to yearn between friends, and they just never made love teams that on that level ever again. So for me, snap, snap, snap. I love it. What about you, Dodds? Are you in the same? Or are you aligned with me on that, or do you have any other love teams that you like?
Ooh, I have other love teams. I am aware of like the phenomenon that was Marvin and Jolene. Ano pangalan ng love team nila?
Marjo, I think. To be honest, I wasn't
Marjo.
around at that time. I just called them Marvin and Julina. Yung iba din, Marbles ang tawag. Kasi Marvin and then Jolene. So, Marbles. I don't know what the real one
Right.
actually is. To the millennials watching this, please comment down below. What is the real love team name?
Yeah, this was your era, guys. But yeah, aware ako sa kanila, but unfortunately, I wasn't exposed to them like growing up. So, ibang love team yung pumapasok sa isip ko. Don't get me started with Sarah Geronimo and John Lloyd Cruz.
Oh my gosh, cultural reset. Si Laika Magtalas and si Sir...
Laida, excuse me.
Oh my
Get
God,
it
I'm so
right.
sorry. Please don't cancel me. And si Sir... Miggy ba?
Miggy Montenegro.
Okay. Hinulaan ko lang yun. Oh my God, buti
Get
tama.
me started. Yung trilogy ng A Very Special Love, that could rival for me like a bunch of the media that I consumed. I mean, around the same time. Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Walang Panama yan. Diverge.
Uy, grabe
Walang
ka sa
Panama.
Hunger Games. Love na love ko yung Hunger Games. Pero I also want to acknowledge Lida and Miggy because I remember there was a time back in grade school that we would do the sun dance or the rain dance whenever
Yes,
we were
that was
outdoors
very
with my
good.
friends. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's how you know when something is culturally impactful. When even kids started doing it.
Started doing it. And do you remember that scene where John Lloyd goes, close the door when you leave?
Ano
You
ulitin
don't
mo,
remember
sorry?
it? Close the door when you leave. It was a scene in like a
Yes.
in their pantry.
Oh my gosh. I think that raised a generation of yung mga mahihilig sa mga bad boys.
That raised
Bad boy
me.
pa si Miggy
And for
doon.
me, I wouldn't say more like a corporate guy. Kasi for
Yeah.
me, okay, as a child, I didn't have a lot of visions like working in corporate. Pero in the
Mhm.
few times that I did, I always imagined I'd have my Laida Magtalas moment.
Mm-mm.
But sooner than later, I realized I am no Laida Magtalas, and there aren't as many Miki Montenegros in the corporate realm as I thought there would be. But yes, don't get me started on that. Ano pa ba? John Lloyd and Bea also.
Yeah, one more
Sana ako pa
chance.
rin. Ako na lang ulit. Yun ba yung line?
Oo, yun yung nagbe-beg siya. Yun ang original beggar. Kasi yun yung after nilang mag-break tapos naging si John Lloyd and si Maha na, diba?
Right. Dun
Oo.
niya din sinabi yung she loved me at my worst. You had me at my best. But you
Yeah.
chose to break my heart.
You know, Dodds, I'm starting to think that we are millennials living in Gen Z's bodies. I have heard that before from millennials saying that to me, and I agree with them.
Mhm.
In fact, when Marvin and Julina had a reunion movie, I think last year or 2 years ago, it's
Very
called XX
recently.
Lover. Yeah, very recently. Girl, I was the only Gen Z in the theater, and I was so proud.
And that's how you know they've made like an impact culturally, right? When uh,
Yeah.
they cut across generations and you feel and see the the impact they've made to this day.
Yeah, I'm so
Ano pa
glad.
ba? May iba pa ka ba bang like moments in Filipino pop culture that moved you aside from movies, maybe like TV shows, commercials, jingles? We have a bunch of those.
Ooh, I do. But before that, sorry, Dodds, I want to talk about Marvin and Julina still because I
Go
think
ahead.
I think when people hear me talk about Marvin and Julina, I think they think that I like them. But to be very clear, I love them. There is a very fine distinction between that. I really love them to the point that back in 2023, I actually wrote a SWOT analysis to analyze the viability of a Marvin and Julina reunion movie. So I really analyzed like what are the strengths, what are the opportunities here, and some of the things that I added there would be yeah, like you said, they can cut through generations now, especially with the rise of social media because their movie Labs Kita Okay Ka Lang was actually digitally restored. It's on ABS-CBN, it's on I Want TFC, not sponsored, but you can see how passionate I am about them, right? Just from
Yeah.
talking about this because for me they really defined what it's like to have a solid friendship and to yearn for each other after falling in love. And I just it just triggers something in me and I love them so much for that. And so I'm so glad when that reunion movie happened. I feel like I actually spoke it in existence. I should have been there as an executive producer.
President ng fan club.
Gen Z,
Yeah.
Gen Z representative.
And I wasn't even really into Marvin Agustin until recently you started sending me a bunch of his reels. And I thought,
So
okay, yeah,
embarrassed.
I
Yes,
get it.
kasi I started
He's
sending
cute.
Dodds. Yeah, I started sending Dodds some memes of Marvin. And then he started seeing what I see. And I was like, see, you get it now.
I get it. I get it. Do a
Yeah, and that
marathon
is
of all of their
why
movies.
we are naming this episode after the queen of Pinoy pop culture herself, Miss Julina Magdangal. By the way, I actually have seen her in person, and it was a life-changing moment. So I saw her when I
Uh-huh.
watched
You have a
the
photo with her.
no, I watched her from afar because me and my friends watched her musical Walang Aray in PETA. But it's a small theater, so you see the actors quite close, even if you're far back. So it was such a full circle moment for me, just from watching her as a young actress to, being a mature woman and seeing her development in theater. I was like, wow, I stand the right queen.
Yeah, that's mother. She raised you
Yeah.
in so many ways.
Okay, sorry, Dots. I interrupted you earlier when you asked, are there any other pop cultural moments that I really like?
Yeah.
And actually, top of mind, I'm not sure if you guys remember it, but many years ago, the finale of On the Wings of Love, when, yeah, when Nadine Lucia and James Reid came out of Inaris Stadium, if I'm not mistaken, and it was a live broadcast. So
Mhm.
that was groundbreaking. Like, how did they even think about that? Direct to Net Hadaone, big fan right here.
If you're watching, hello.
If you're watching, hello, your inspiration.
Ako naman, yung mga commercials, alam mo yung Christmas station IDs ng
Oh
ABS-CBN
my
that
God!
just,
Abang
ano
na
yung
ako
ano
dun
title
every
nun?
year.
Yung bro, ikaw ang star ng
Star
Pasko
ng
ba yun?
Pasko.
Star ng Pasko.
2009. Yes,
Was
2009.
2000,
Yeah.
grabe yun.
I think Dodds yung context nun was 2009 was the year of Bagyong Ondoy. Tama ba?
Oh,
Yeah, that's why it was so
I'm not
meaningful.
entirely sure anymore.
Yeah. I think it was
Yeah, and
it.
also that was after a very popular show aired. May bukas pa. Do you remember that with
Yes,
Seijan
Zijan
Haranilla?
Harnilla. I love that
Yes,
show.
yes. Me
Sinubaybayan mo
too.
rin ba
Like,
yun?
yeah, I watched it primarily because that was shot in Pampanga. So it's like,
Pampanga?
yeah, yes,
My
in one of the
hometown.
churches. Yeah. In terms of
Yeah.
commercial, o
Commercial.
meron ka pa bang ibang ano?
Sige, teleserye dadagdagan ko. Agua Bendita. Kasi you talked about Christian. Agua Bendita literally means holy water.
Yeah.
Tapos,
Tatawa ako kasi naisip ko yung Mama Mo Blue. Kasi blue siya, di ba?
Smurf.
Smurf. Oo. I watched that show too.
Yeah. I think it was so iconic because Zariel Manabat, who played the young twins, she was so good. From what I heard, actually, her stint there wasn't supposed to be that long, but because she was so iconic, they actually prolonged it before they transitioned into the adult twins, which was played by Andy Eigenman, who was also iconic, by the way.
Wait, were they twins?
They were twins, si Agua and si Bendita.
Oh.
So si
Oh.
Agua, siya yung tubig, and
Siya
si
yung
Bendita,
blue.
she was
Kapatid blue.
yeah. And then yung premise nga no, nung una tinatago siya, si Agua, kasi parang, parang ayaw siyang ipakita dun sa pamilya niya. Yung tatay lang niya yung nakakaalam,
Naalala
which
ko
was
na.
played by John Estrada. Wow, it's actually so amazing that I still remember all of these details. Both amazing and a bit embarrassing. O sige,
I'm trying to
commercials.
think. Commercials?
O sige,
Ako,
go.
for me, commercials naalala ko yung mga jingles eh. Alam mo
Oo.
yung sumusunod sa galaw. Naalala
Ano ba yung sa shampoo?
Sa shampoo, oh. I'm not sure if it was Rejoice or Palmolive.
Oh my God,
Not
may Rejoice
sponsored.
pa ba ngayon? Parang wala na, no?
Parang wala na. I'm pretty sure
Oh my God.
di ko na nakikita, but I'm pretty sure baka meron pa.
Oh my God,
I don't know, but
yeah.
that's what I remember. And a lot of like the Coca-Cola, McDonald's commercial,
Yeah.
Jollibee.
By the way, this episode again, guys, is not sponsored. We're just trying to be nostalgic. There were some other commercials that were so iconic to me because I remember we had a campaign jingle in school. So we had election season when I was in grade school, and we had to make a campaign jingle to the tune of anything catchy at that time. One of them was "Makulay ang buhay sa sinabawang gulay."
Alam ko yan.
Oh,
Yes.
makulay. O, di ba? And then another one was yung brush, brush, brush 3 times a
3
day. Do you
times a
know
day.
that?
I know that, yeah.
I don't know what
Wow.
yeah. Na-imagine ko tuloy the kids now when they grow up. Ano kaya yung nostalgic for them? Miss Rachel.
Miss
I'm
Rachel.
so happy.
Yeah, Coco Melon.
Yeah. Coco B also. Napaghahalata ang mga tita tayo, no?
Oo, napaghalat na we're right at the cusp of like the Gen Zs. But ano pa ba? Ibang social media. I think when we were growing up, social media was na din.
Yes.
During
Did
that time. Were there any like moments or like
Did your
memories
older
you have?
siblings create a Friendster account for you?
No, I hindi ko na inabutan yung Friendster. I mean, at that time.
Oh, yung
No, I
magkaedad
was
na
never
tayo.
I was never on Friendster. The first social media account I had was Facebook.
Facebook
So, di
na.
ba, Facebook came after Friendster. So, hindi na
Yeah.
ako nag-Friendster. I don't think any of my sisters did. Or I just wasn't aware of it.
Yeah. Well, wow ha. Hindi mo naabutan yung Friendster,
Hindi ko na
ano?
naabutan.
Naabutan ko yun,
Hindi na ako nag-Friendster. Pero,
grade 3 ako nung nag-Friendster ako. Tapos ginawan pa ako ng kuya ko ng account noon. But then, that was my first software engineering experience. Like I would code, and there were sites back then dedicated to where you can find backgrounds. Some of them were dynamic, some were
Yes.
static, and you would have to code them for it to appear a certain way in your profile, much like Tumblr. Did you have Tumblr?
Parang, yes, I
Girl.
run that shit like the
Oh,
editor-in-chief of Vogue. Oh my gosh. Doon ako natutong
oh my gosh.
mag-HTML. Kailangan
Yes.
yung lahat, yung music player ko.
Oh my God, I love Tumblr. You know what? I think that 16-year-old me, or actually 14,
Mm.
14-year-old me who was in Tumblr would reblog the person that I am now, and that makes me so proud.
Love
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I'd say
yeah,
the same thing.
yeah. What did
Ano
you
yung
used to
mga
do?
on Tumblr?
Yeah, what did you used to do in Tumblr?
I did a lot. I wrote poetry.
Okay.
I did. I would make art and post them on there. I made a lot of friends actually, and I would
Mm.
attribute my fascination with like uh space study, the universe or the cosmos with, with Tumblr. Alam mo yung era na sobrang nauso yung galaxy print.
Yes, I remember there were a bunch of Jan sports back in, I
Yes,
think,
the
yeah,
bags
in high
with
school that had a
those
galaxy
prints.
print. Yeah, so iconic.
Nagkaganon ka ba? Ako hindi eh.
No,
I wish I owned one.
I never had a galaxy print
Cultural
anything.
artifact. Yeah, same. But cultural artifact na siya sana ngayon
Yeah.
kung meron tayo. May music player ka ba sa Tumblr nun?
Hindi ako umabot sa ganong point, to be honest. Honestly, honestly,
Umabot ako
reblog lang ako sa Tumblr. I think the most that I did was create GIFs out of K-dramas.
out of Cage.
Yeah.
Ah,
Kasi yung mga K-dramas, may subtitles na sila nun. So, i-gif ko lang.
yes.
Tapos,
Tapos
ipopost ko. And then,
post
yeah,
mo.
post and ghost
They'd get a
until,
lot of
yeah, you'll
yeah.
get a lot of interactions.
Yeah, ako iba yung amats ko nun eh. So, nagpaka-ano ako doon, nagpaka-sad boy. So, yung playlist ko nun, Ed Sheeran. Alam mo yung pag-open mo ng vlog, automatically magpe-play siya.
Oo.
So, I had Ed Sheeran, 5 Seconds of Summer, Mayday Parade. Oh my
Mm-mm.
gosh.
Nagkaroon din ako ng music face ng 5 Seconds of Summer and other rock bands. Actually, well, speaking of Tumblr, I was more of a stan Twitter person.
Mm.
So, I told you before that I have never been casual my entire life. So back then, I was the kind of person that when I'm into something, I have to show people that I like it. Like, I have to be the number one fan, otherwise I'm a fake fan. That was a term before, right?
Yeah.
That was so annoying though. Like, if I look back at myself now, like, why did I have to
Did you
be...
write, sorry, did you write fan fiction?
Yes, but I didn't actually post it because I was so shy. But yes, I have it in my notes. But it's private.
Of what? If I may ask.
uh K-drama stars. And I was really a big fan of figure skating around 2016 to 2018. So do you know the go-to figure skating Yuzuru Hanyu? Yes, I love him. And I did write some fanfics also. Everything was clean.
That's a... Hindi naman smut level.
No, oh my God. Don't ruin my image. But I had different phases in Stan Twitter. Like, there was a time I had, it was a YouTube fan account. So there was an era in the mid 2010s that YouTubers were a big deal. Like, Dan is not on fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really into those YouTubers, and I had a fan account for them. And then it transitioned into being a figure skating fan account until I eventually matured. I went to college, and that became obsolete.
Wait, I want to go back a bit since we were talking about fan fiction. Were you ever on Wattpad reading or I don't know publishing things?
Wattpad, no. I was in AO3, Archive of Our Own. I think
I was on Wattpad.
there was a stigma in Wattpad before that.
Yes, yes, exactly.
It's like parang the trashy version. Sorry.
Yes, yes. No, it's true. If you read Wattpad before, ang label says you're Jejemon.
Yeah, because there was also a time when books from Wattpad were adapted into movies. An
Into
example I can think
series
of is,
also.
yeah, She's Dating the Gangster,
Yeah.
Talk Back and You're Dead, which, by the way, I actually really like those movies.
I read Diary ng Pangit
Like in Wattpad.
in Wattpad. I'm embarrassed to admit that. But but yes.
Hey, we all
Kasi
start
parang
somewhere.
that's something that before, like in high school, for example, you can't tell people that. They would just think you're a freaking loser. In the same way, like for example, if you're a K-pop fan, an anime fan,
Yeah, that
you
also. Yeah, there was a time when people thought K-pop was cringe, but now everyone likes K-pop.
once into K-pop now, and if you're a guy before who's into K-pop, naturally,
Mm.
bading ka.
But now that's not the
To your point,
case.
everyone,
Yeah,
that's not the case anymore.
I know a lot of people, a lot of guys who are into Twice, Red Velvet. Those are the only ones I know. Please don't cancel me.
Yeah, I'm also not a huge K-pop fan, but yeah, that tells us something. That some things in the past that may be cringe, or things that
Mm.
whether that's the things we consume that we're embarrassed to admit now are cool. Can you think of other forms of like media that we consumed back in the day that were just embarrassing but are pretty cool today?
Embarrassing forms of media. Uh, I wouldn't call this embarrassing, but I used to collect Total Girl magazines. Do you know what that is? I know you're a boy, but I think
I know what that is.
the counterpart
I've
the
never
count
read one.
yeah, the counterpart of Total Girl for boys, I think, was K Zone. Total Girl was like, well, it's a monthly edition, but I think it was really more about girlhood and for tweens. It was marketed for tweens. And I remember the reason I got into that was because one of my friends, that was I think grade 5 or grade 6, was actually featured in the magazine. And then I was so proud of her. And so I bought like multiple copies of that particular edition, and I even covered it in plastic. And for the girls listening to this, you might be able to relate. They used to give out stickers inside that magazine. So those stickers, it would have something like a bookmark that says "Read this with my bestie" or "Share this with my mom," something like that. And it was so fun. It was the same company that also made the slam book. Oh, the slam book!
The
Nagkaroon ka ba
slam
ng
book,
ganung
yeah.
era?
Di ako nagkaroon ng sarili kong slam book, but the people in my class
Mm.
had a lot of those. So I was always answering them.
Was it the girls in the class?
It's usually the girls in the
Yeah, I
class,
mean, I
yes.
imagine boys wouldn't have something like that. It was really marketed for young girls.
Speaking of magazines, I would like to bring up a point about like how the environment that we grew up in shapes our, interests. Kasi kung yan yung sayo, mine was heavily influenced by my sisters. So our eldest sister was really into a lot of like the Filipino magazines, like Preview when they were still in print,
Yeah.
Star Studio, Yes Magazine, and a bunch of like Hollywood ones like OK Magazine and a bunch of
Yeah.
others. So I consumed a lot of those growing up. And
Yeah.
I think that explains why so much of me is into entertainment and like celebrities. Yun yung mga binibili ng kapatid ko. So I would just read them. And even in
Mm.
terms of like books, let's talk about books. And at one point, young adult fiction like boomed. Diba?
Yeah.
That wasn't exactly the case for me because my introduction to books was also again my sisters. They were very much into like Mitch Albom, James Patterson, Paulo Coelho. So yung
Oh.
introduction ko talaga to books was like that, and the YA fiction came after. So yun yung mga Hunger
Ah.
Games, which I know we both love.
Yes,
John Green.
Oh my gosh, I love John Green, also as a podcaster and as a vlogger. Tell me more, Dodds. I'm curious about that. Do you have anything to add about that?
No, it's just that Um, alam mo yung when you have older siblings, like
Mm.
when you look at them, you think they're so cool, and you start
Mm.
emulating what they're doing, what they're into. Since in the previous episodes, I brought up nga that I was the only boy among five siblings, so a lot of what I was into growing up, or I consumed the world through their taste.
Mm.
So yun
Interesting.
nga.
Ako baliktad. So, I grew up naman with older brothers. And hence, that's why,
Ooh.
yeah, I think that played the big part on why I was a bit boyish and medyo matigas, at least for the standards of little girls back then. Medyo matigas ako, medyo brusco ako. I think I only got in touch to my feminine side as I got older, actually. But the media that my brothers consumed back then were mostly, ah, mixed. The Daily Top 10. Yeah, do you remember that?
Yes.
Grabe,
Yes.
inaabang-abangan namin yun. Tapos, I really got introduced to punk rock early on. I think before I even got introduced to Disney princesses, I was very aware of My Chemical Romance, of Green Day. You know those bands?
I
Yeah,
know, yeah.
I was super aware of them at such a young age. And I thought that was really like the normal kind of music, actually. So I remember like
Mhm.
going into kindergarten, I actually was a bit surprised with that there were other types of music that was around because I only knew punk rock.
That's so interesting kasi baligtad talaga sa akin. Kasi what I
Oo.
listened to back then was mga Alanis Morissette,
Mm,
Catherine McPhee. Kasi yun yung mga pinapakinggan ng, ng mga ate ko. That's so cool and interesting. Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Pero
So,
grabe no yung Mixed Daily Top 10.
yeah.
Talagang, ano yun, uso doon yung mga VJs. Di ba doon nag-start sila Ia
Oh,
Villania, sila Luis
yeah.
Manzano. Medyo,
Songbooks.
yeah,
Nagka-song, di
songbooks.
ba?
Nagkaroon
Kasi
ako ng
parang,
ganon because I had a phase when I tried to learn guitar because I was trying to be cool. So yung mga song hits na may chords, yun.
if you had that one classmate who owned one, tapos pag din na nila sa school, wala na. Karaoke na.
Oo. Oh my gosh. It's so fun. Our childhood. Oh, cry.
Yeah. And you know what they say? Like, we had that perfect mix of, life pre-internet and social media
Yeah. Really at the
to
cusp.
life
Yeah.
with, yeah, the internet and social media, which I think makes a pretty good mix.
Uh,
What do you think has changed about, pop culture, or the way that we consume media and art
mm.
because of the onset of social media?
Well, everything is fast now. If you noticed,
Mhm.
every week there's a different topic. There's a different national topic, and we forget about what happened last week. That's why I think before when a celebrity gets canceled, it seems like it's the end of the world, such a big deal. But nowadays, when
Yeah,
I find a celebrity getting canceled or anyone in particular, I know that 1 to 2 weeks from now, people are gonna forget about it. And
that's true.
I would quote Plutarch Heavensbee in the Hunger Games. Si Plutarch yata nagsabi nun niya. Sabi niya, people, we have fickle memories, something like that. And I didn't
Mhm.
know that. I didn't understand that when I was reading it in sixth grade, but now I do. It simply means that people are so busy with their own lives that we tend to forget actually what's happening in the real world.
Mhm.
So that's one. Another thing is before we really liked we really had an appreciation for analog things like magazines, like print books. It actually got me wondering, how when we were growing up, let's say in a school project, teachers would ask us to bring a newspaper or magazines and then we would cut and then put that in
You
an
would cut, yeah,
illustration board.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wonder
yeah.
now for kids, how are the projects like ganun pa rin ba? Or like is everything now in Canva? Is everything now in Photoshop? Because back then, that was such a big deal eh.
Yeah.
Parang, di ba nga, nauuso dati yung, I mean, usong storya sa atin growing up was yung magsasabi ka sa nanay mo na
Sa
kailangan mo
nanay,
illustration board kapag
kailangan mo
9 p.m.
ng
na.
colored paper.
Kailangan ng colored
Tapos
paper,
mapupurot ka na.
ng
No, that's
cartolina.
so true. I'm curious. Do you have younger, ano ba, cousins, nephews, nieces? I don't. And I mean,
Mine,
I do, but they're not here,
they're
so
too
I can't
young.
say for
They're too
sure.
young
Yeah, right.
for me to
Same.
know. Yeah, I think na ang uso ngayon na project is paramihan ng like sa Facebook ng poster, 'di
Oh
ba?
yeah.
Parang gawa
Well, we
ng
had
video.
that also
We
in
had that
high
but
school.
we were ano na, we were older. Kasi yun na yung
Yeah.
naging media
Well,
nung
yeah.
time na yun eh. Pero
Yeah.
I think now mas bumaba yung age that requires that.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so true. And one thing I also noticed is before, like the way you discover artists, celebrities, or any form of art, you have to have been exposed to them at a young age, right? Whether that's through your siblings, your family, your friends, or you have to
Mm.
have discovered them through like physical spaces, like going to a bookstore, a museum, or the way for you to
Yes.
be able to like get to know celebrities or these personalities was to sit in front of the TV and like watch and see them. But like now the
Yeah.
way that we discover is, well, one, greatly influenced by algorithm, and we can do so from our homes while we're doom scrolling.
Yeah, you really had to go out of your way. That's a good point that you brought up because I just remembered the Scholastic Book Fair. That was one of
Mm-hmm.
my awakenings, my class awakenings. Because let's be real, not all of the books there were affordable. Like if you were a little girl, right? Well, of course
Mm-hmm.
your parents would
Mm-hmm.
give you allowance and you can buy something, but it's not like you can buy everything. But back then reading was such a big deal that it was made to be
Mm-hmm.
a competition among sections or among year levels. Was that something that you guys did as well?
Yes, I was in a reading competition.
Okay. Tell
Yes, like
me.
you know those, yeah, you know those competitions that measured reading comprehension. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you had those in your school where you're given a piece of text that you have to read for like an X amount of time, and then after you answer a bunch of questions.
Mm.
So parang a condensed version of like the reading comprehension exams we would take for like entrance exams or
Ah.
aptitude tests. So sumali ako sa ganun dati kahit,
Wow.
ewan ko, I guess, ewan, bakit ako yung napili, pero and I won. Second place lang,
Wow.
pero
Okay. Ang galing. Kami
podium finisher.
podium finisher. Okay, sporty.
And also, fun fact, I was also in a storytelling competition.
Okay. Mga kwento ni Lola Basyang, ganon.
Yes, very that. At nanalo akong first place dyan.
Sobrang bading. Joke lang.
Sobrang bading. Yes, sobrang bading. I ate them all up. But ang interesting lang, no, kasi parang even also before, um, it feels as though we consume the same media and at the same time.
Mm-mm.
Kasi for example, kung gusto mong manood ng ganitong show, kailangan mo talagang, you have to make time for it. Umupo ka sa harap ng TV kasi you
Mm-mm.
would not be able to consume it elsewhere. So
Yeah.
in so many ways, it felt for me like it was a more communal experience before.
Yes. It was. It was. Yung even yung panonood ng mga teleserye, like you have to be in front of a TV at a certain time. Like let's say,
Yes.
Agua Bendita 8 p.m. Kailangan nasa TV ka na.
Prime time yan.
Oo, prime
Oo.
time yun.
After
Tapos
yan ng TV patrol.
patrol. Kailangan maabangan mo yan. Tapos kapag na-miss mo yun, wala na, hindi mo siya ma-replay. And like now, you can watch it on YouTube, on the other OTTs, because it's everywhere. I mean,
Everywhere.
I do appreciate that we have access now, especially for the working people. But it really, makes you appreciative of time back then.
Mhm.
You don't take things for granted. Like
Mhm.
you have a TV, you memorize the channel, you memorize the schedule. It was such an exciting experience to have something to look forward to, right?
Yes. And usually, we did with family.
Yeah.
So like it's almost like a family ritual, diba?
Yeah.
For us, we'd have dinner while watching the news.
Yeah. Yun
So
din
that's mostly
kasi
TV Patrol. Tapos
Oo.
yun na nga, prime time na after.
kaya big deal yung mga nasa prime time kasi sila yung family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm. Ang galing. And even
Ang
reading
galing.
books, we talked about it earlier. Sorry, I kind of glossed over it. But how I got into books, kasi for you, it was through your sisters. For me, if I'm being
Mm-hmm.
honest, I was peer pressured into reading.
To read it.
Yeah, because of school, because nga, they turned it into a competition. Like, I remember back in grade school, we would have, each classroom would have a cabinet filled with around 50 books. And then we would have a chart, and then you would fill out that chart with how many books you've read. So, yeah, how many books you've finished. And then at the end of the year or at the end of the semester, we would have a battle of the books. I remember in grade 5, my section won, and I was so proud. Yeah.
Battle of the Book. That sounds so intense.
Yeah. So, kasi each section would have the same set of 50 books. And then
Mm-hmm.
the quiz bee is like, what was the name of this character in this book?
Ang
Something
saya
like that.
naman yan.
Diba? So talagang mapipilitan kang magbasa. And also, that was also the time yun nga na nauso yung mga YA. So it started with The Hunger Games, Divergent,
Divergent.
yeah, Maze Runner. I think
Amazing.
even before that, Harry Potter and Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
So
Percy
our
Jackson, yeah.
yeah. And so our generation talaga, we were raised to be palaban. I don't want to say defiant, but we were raised really to be to have minds of our own.
Yes, that's true. And I wanna piggyback on that kasi pop culture essentially influences how we understand the world, especially if you consume them during your formative years. So,
Yeah.
if, for example, YA fiction featured a lot of like teen protagonists,
Mm.
like I'm pretty sure that did something for our generation, right?
Yeah.
Um, understanding of the world really has a lot to do with the type of media that we consume, our understanding of relationships, like
Yes.
for Filipinos, makikita natin in our commercials, in our teleseries, in our movies, the values that are embedded on there are mainly on like family. So yung mga
Yes.
commercials, they revolve around the whole idea of coming home, because we have a lot of OFWs.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
basically, I'm trying to say is like our conception of the world um, rests greatly on the type and the type of media we consumed and how we consume them. So now I want to bring the conversation back to social media and how that has changed. I think it changed for the better, for worse. I mean, we kind of touched on this earlier, but
Yeah.
let's talk more about it.
I don't think it would be fair to say that it changed us for the worse. I mean, definitely there are obvious reasons. There are obvious
Mm-hmm.
ways that it has changed things in not so good ways, but we also need to accept that it's going to be there and it's not going to change. So I think the responsibility falls still with adults and how they shape young minds. Because at the end of the day, these are your children, or our young ones that we need to look out after. So social media has made it in such a way that we consume media so fast, and so we
Mm-hmm.
don't really have an appreciation for how art is created anymore. Like, even with the videos that we consume, I think we tend to take it for granted how long it takes to create even one short or one reel, or like
Mm-hmm.
even the storytelling behind that. I feel like there is now a lack of appreciation because it's so common now, because everyone can create, or there's an unlimited amount of media that you can consume. And so I think that's why it's important still that there needs to be a balance between what kids consume. So long form,
Mm-hmm.
short form, and also traditional media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I want to go back to the point that I made earlier about, pop culture having a strong influence on like how we conceive the world.
Mm-mm.
And pop culture plays a pivotal role in shaping public opinion also.
Yeah.
And social media has basically democratized that, because before it was just the large networks that were able to do that, or traditional media outlets like
Mm-mm.
newspapers, TV stations, diba? But with social media, a lot more voices are heard now. And
Mm-mm.
that's great because we're able to hear a lot of perspectives, right? We do not only consume or take in the world through traditional forms of media, but through other people's experiences. Well, that's a good thing. It also means that we have to be intentional about what we give attention to
Mm-mm.
and amplify, because it can quickly turn into like a very dangerous space. And one thing I noticed, and this is more on the negative side of things, is, for example, um, before we consumed our news, yun nga, like I said, through traditional forms of media, but now we consume it through memes, TikTok videos
Yeah.
that were clipped, or reaction videos, or sa quote tweets na lang tayo nagko-consume
Mm-mm.
ng balita, diba? The danger in that, sometimes the memes or the humor become louder than the news itself.
Yeah. You're so correct there.
Kasi, yeah, and it's quite dangerous because even sometimes news outlets do it themselves because they know, oh, this is what would do well. Let's
Yeah.
memify. Is that a word?
No, but
let's memify this piece of information because this is what will sell.
yeah, I understand what you mean. Actually, hindi ko yun naisip until you brought it up. So, wow, super smart. Yeah, before I think there was the thing about media, we need to understand also media ownership. If you look at all the major media outlets, they are owned by conglomerates or big names. So let's not go into that because it would be a different conversation. But I appreciate also that there are also other ways that we can consume news now, but we
Mm-hmm.
also have to be very intentional, and the responsibility falls into parents and also schools to adapt media literacy in the education of children. I'm really
Yeah.
a big advocate for media literacy because now media is so democratized, as you mentioned. We're not going to be able to stop people from
Mm-hmm.
creating.
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult to regulate content. So the responsibility really falls onto the consumer on how they want to interpret that. The problem is not every
Mm-hmm.
consumer has the agency, or has the tools to be able to discriminate what's good information and what's bad information.
Mm-hmm.
Even our parents, right? They can't even distinguish what's AI generated or what's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's incredibly critical because more and more we start to realize na we don't just consume culture anymore. Like,
Mhm.
especially with tools at our disposal like social media, we as a collective create culture. So if we are a
Oh.
generation of media illiterate people, what kind of culture are we going to end up creating?
And what kind of
Because it's
society, yeah, do we end up
yes,
having?
because it's the very same principle that, yes, um, social media, or yeah, allows us to consume information in many different ways, but it's that very same mechanism that also allows for disinformation or misinformation to, to spread.
Yeah, absolutely. Ah, what a great discovery.
What a great discovery, and this all started from Jolina Magdangal.
The queen of
Alam
Pinoy
mo,
pop culture.
pag may nakita akong notebook, di ba uso yun dati, yung mga notebook na may mukha ng artista.
Oo, ayun
Nagkaganon
din.
ka ba?
Hindi ako nagkaroon
pag,
ng
na,
ganun.
pag may nakita ako na may mukha ni Jolina Magdangal, bibilin ko para sa'yo. So sana makakita tayo niyan one of them days. But yeah, what a discussion, Pao.
What a discussion, no? Actually, in our future episodes, I also want to discuss nga the education system.
Nag-senior high ka ba? Kasi, or were
Yes.
you, yes, we are the first batch.
Yeah, nag-senior high
May,
ako.
di ba media literacy course
Yes, yung track ko kasi was general academic strand. So we really had a lot on
Ah,
media. So napagdaanan talaga namin yon. So pinag-aralan yung mga fallacies, the different
yes.
types of sensationalism, generalization, ad hominem.
Mhm.
It's so fun. And also as a comms major, that's also part of the curriculum.
Yeah, ako naman, I took up humanities. And yeah, may naalala ko nga nung senior high, meron yung media literacy
Mm-mm.
course. And I hope it's still there today. And I hope they're reimagining their approach to it. Because when that whole thing started, K to 12,
Mm-mm.
social media isn't as big as it is today.
Yeah. My concern
So,
is Yeah,
yeah.
my concern is it takes a while for the education system to adapt the curriculum to current times.
Mhm.
So, paglabas ng mga bata sa school, and this is not just in senior high, even in college, minsan paglabas ng mga bata sa school, iba na yung mundo. And so that's why educators really need to be quick on their feet. And of course, the government should be able to support that as well. The curriculum should be able to move at scale.
Ooh, I
Woo!
love that.
Woo!
How for president? Come on.
Hello, and who's willing
Let's
to be
make
the
this a thing.
first gentleman? I'm
Okay,
kidding.
tapusin na natin to. This is getting way too long. Ang point lang naman namin dito ay ang saya ng buhay noon
Mm,
at madami na ding nagbago and those changes come with a lot of responsibilities too. If you are tuning into this right now, let's consume media in the most responsible way we can.
yeah. Masaya pa rin naman ang buhay ngayon, but we want the younger generations to be able to have a positive experience the same way that we did. In the future, we want them to be
Yes.
able to tell stories like we're able to do so now, like how they were able to
Yes.
exchange books with their friends, how they watched movies or teleseries with their families and have that memory of a communal experience.
I love that. Ang
Oh,
ganda.
ang ganda! Oh my God, doon muna
Ang
tayo.
ganda.
Ano
Kailangan ang
pangalan ng
next generation.
ano
Ang
pangalan
next
ng party
generation.
list natin, Dods? Pods party list.
No, I was going to say, kailangan ang next generation of Filipino ay may Jolina Magdangal pa rin.
True.
In
Who
so
do you
many
think that's
ways,
going
Jolina
to be?
Magdangal stands for so many things.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going? Baka ikaw.
I think I'm too old to be representing the younger generation. But yes, we love Julina Magdangal. She's also an ally of great many causes. So more power to her. And to all of you listening here, please know that you have power. And yes, just emanate that and do what you can in little ways.
All right. Thanks again for tuning in to today's episode. Again, I am Dodds.
And I am Pau at kami ang tambalang
Tangbalong Marvin at Jolina.
Julina! Marble
Thank you guys
signing
for
off.
tuning in. Reach out to us on social media and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
We'll see you next Sunday at 7 p.m. Bye, guys.